Welcome back to part 2 of the Advent Calendar Box tutorial. Now let's get into configuring the box. To begin creating the bottom structure of our box, I decided to go ahead and put the boxes in the order that they needed to be in and decorate the sides of them. So what we did when we had all of this done, all the decorating of the drawer and the 3 match boxes glued together, I then decided to put them in the correct order that I wanted them in, and it's just a personal preference. But what you need to create is a square. You'll have a long set of matchboxes, a short set, we'll go this way, long, short, long, short. So when they all come together, they will look like this, and you'll have a little hole in the center. So here's another look at that long and short. So then when you turn them, I've already decorated some of them, you'll see that I alternated it. You alternate your individual stacks, long, short, and then you add the next ones on and you alternate it. So it was long here, so you put a short on top. This one was short, so you put a long on top. This one was long, so you put a short on top. This one was short, and you put a long on top. So again, you maintain that square with a square in the center. And that's what you will get on the side. So what I was making sure of was how I wanted the numbering to be. When I say I organized it, that's what I meant. And I also wanted it to be starting with the left and then right at the bottom, so that it was consistent in the look. So the left here and right here. As you can see, I decorated some of the sides of the boxes. Since I had everything mapped out the way I wanted it, I went ahead and decorated the sides of the boxes, but you can wait till it's all put together before you do that. I actually found it was easier to do it once I figured out the pattern that I wanted. So it's kind of hard to show that to you and move all the boxes at the same time. Okay, so now now that you kind of know the way that these will be constructed, or configured, I should say, we'll go ahead and finish decorating this last one that I have to do here. So I used digital images from the kit that I'm using, and I glued that onto glitter paper. I found that using Fabri-Tac to glue onto glitter paper was actually the best. It actually grabbed it the best. So the glitter paper is 3 1/8 by 2 3/8, and then to glue it onto the stack of boxes that we have, I found that Fabri-Tac worked really well. And trust me, I tried many configurations before I figured out which one I liked the best. Got a little glue on there. Okay, so we're going to line this up with the front and then make sure it's in the right placement that we want it for the rest of the sides. And then just push down. If you want, you can take the drawers out and do that thing that I did before, was, push down that way. But it grabs pretty good with the drawers being in there. I actually have something to kind of push on. Okay, so now all our boxes are decorated. Now that I've shown you the configuration that we will need with our stacked boxes to create the Advent calendar box, I want to show you the components that we need to actually glue all this together so that it is a sturdy structure. The first thing I did was go into Cricut Design Space, and I found a square design that I liked. I love the decorative edges, and I also made this to be 6.5 by 6.5, which is much larger than this configuration that we have created. This is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. I did this because I wanted there to be a little bit of a ledge on the bottom. So this leaves a ledge all the way around. If I wanted to add some more decorative elements, I would have that ability. You don't have to leave a ledge. You can make it 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 to match the size of all the stacked boxes. It's purely up to you, whatever you like. You could even do it 5 1/2 by 5 1/2 and just give you 1/4 of an inch all the way around. That's perfectly fine as well. You also don't need a decorative edge. I just chose to pick that. You could just do it as a square. So you really have some freedom with creating these advent calendars, which is what I really like, because then your style comes through. So once I found the square that I wanted, what I did was I took some medium weight black chipboard that I got off of Amazon. I'll have this link down below. What I liked about this chipboard is when you cut it, it stays black. You don't see any white. So I took that, and in my Cricut design space, I cut out this image on this medium weight chipboard, and then I cut it out 2 more times with decorative paper. I used a pink decorative paper and this black gray one. Now you don't really need to. One would be fine to put on top. You don't really need to decorate the bottom. I'm decorating the bottom because what if somebody decides to turn the whole advent calendar over? I want it to have a cohesive look with decorating. So that's the reason why I did that. So once you have your base plate, that's what I'm calling it. Once the base plate is cut out and decorated, what you're going to also need is 2 more plates, if you will, to go within the structure. So here is the base. We would put our 4 layers of boxes on there. They would be glued on. We'll do that later. Then we would take our 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 medium chipboard piece, glue this onto these 4 stackable boxes, and then we would take the next 4 and glue these onto that. Then we would have 1 more of the 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, 1 more of these, and put it on top. And that's the top of your advent calendar box. Here again, if you would like a decorative piece, you could create another decorative piece and put that on top. Again, it's purely up to you and what you like. I've decided that I'm just going to do the 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 because I just didn't want any overlap on the top. So that's what I've decided to do. You can certainly decide how you want yours to look as well. So what we're going to do now is actually cut out our 2 pieces that we need. To do that, I have my medium chipboard. I have a metal ruler. I've already taken my Tim Holtz ruler and mapped out 5 1/4 squares, so that will be easier for me with a pencil. And now I'm going to use my Singer knife blade. So we're just going to cut this out. This is 5 1/4 over from the edge. Okay. Now here we have already measured 5 1/4, and we're going to cut this doing the same method. Now, if you have an industrial cutter, then by all means use that. This has been the best way to cut this. I did try using my OLFA rotary cutter, but I found that that just didn't cut as well and as clean as using a blade. Okay, so we have 1 square. We need 1 more. I'll mark that with a pencil. Let's cut this one out. And there you go. So now we have our two pieces. So here again, just to demonstrate, we have our 4 on the base plate. We would take one of our plates that we just cut, put in the middle, add the next 4, and use the last piece to go on top. It's like a little sandwich. See, and you can't even really see the middle one, which is what we want. To create the box, I first figured out the dimensions that I needed. I wanted to have a 1.5 inch side on both sides. So that would be how tall it would be, 1.5. And I needed the base to be 6 by 6. So in the honor of Genevieve Design Style, I created this little template. I took it and put it on my chipboard. I traced it out. I took this flap and folded it over and then marked down where that was, and then I did the same thing over here, and then I had my template all mapped out on my chipboard. Because I need a top and a back, I did the same thing over here, but this time I didn't mark this flap. I only used the one flap, the 1.5 inch, and the 6 inch, and I marked it here and then folded this over and marked it there. So then I will have all the pieces that I need. Now just need to cut them out. Now to cut these out, the way I'm going to do it is cut out this piece as a whole with the 2 flaps, so it will be one piece. When I come over here, I'm going to cut that out as one piece as well, and I'll show you why after I get them cut out. Okay, so I have my 2 pieces cut out. This is one with the 1.5 panel, the 6 by 6, and this has 2 1.5 panels and the 6 by 6 in the middle. So what we're going to do is line up our ruler and take our blade knife, and we're not going to cut all the way through. We're going to make some easy passes okay, so it's not cut all the way through. Let's turn this over, do this side. You know, I'm not pressing down as hard as I normally would. And then what we do is we start to, I think I need to do more on that one. We'll start to bend the side. I think I need to do a little bit more on both of these actually. Let's try this one. Yeah, so it kind of like pops out. There we go. Let's try this one. There, that one went much easier. So on these I have to go a little bit harder than I did. I'm used to a thinner chipboard. There. So now we have the base of our box. We just need to get the lid and the back side of it. It's actually kind of a drawer. It's not really a box. We're not going to put a front to it. We're going to make a drawer and put in it. Okay, so let's try this again. Oh yeah, I almost went too far on that one. Okay, but that's great. So see, this is the base, and this will be in the back, and the top lid, and the sides will come up. We'll create almost like a little drawer. Now that we have our box parts all cut out, we need to create some strips to attach them. So what I've done is taken an 8.5 by 11 piece of black cardstock. I've cut it down to where the width is 6 inches. and it doesn't matter what the length is. What we're going to do now is score at a 1/2 inch, and then we're going to skip over to 1 1/2 and score 2 1/2, 3 1/2, 4 1/2, 5 1/2, 6 1/2, 7 1/2. This is another trick that I learned from Genevieve, which is Jennifer, by the way. Now that we have our score marks, we're going to go ahead and burnish them. And then next we'll be adding adhesive. And cutting them down into strips. Now that I've got it all scored and burnished, what I'm going to do is add some score tape to the back side of it. And I have this great roll of 6" in width, and it will be perfect to add onto here. Now if you don't have this tape, all you have to do is just use whatever you have. Put tapes on either side of the score mark for each one of these lines. Okay, so let me show you this, and then I'll show you the next step of cutting these into the strips. I thought this was 6 inches. Must be this way. I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way because it looks like it might be easier. Now with adhesive on our strip that we're going to create, we're going to put this into our cutter and cut out 1" strips. So let's see. So I'm lining it up on this side over here to create that 1" and going to cut. I think I like this better. So when we cut the 1" strips, you'll see that our score line is in the center. And we'll just be, whoops, going the wrong way. We'll be folding them like this. With the adhesive on the back side. Okay, so just go ahead and continue to cut these out in 1" strips. Okay, now that we have these all cut out, let's see how many we need. Actually need 1, and then there'll be 1 on top of here and here. So that's 3. So we want to do a miter cut here, or an angle cut on both ends. So they will look like this. And do 3 of those. Okay, let's get our pieces lined up together. So we're just going to, the one with the little flap. So here's the one that had the 6x6 and the small flap. The cut edge will be on the bottom, and we'll center it here with the other 6-inch piece in between these two lines. It's not going to stay, so I'm going to have to put a little piece of tape there, because when I put my fingers off, it pulls up. Okay, so we'll take one of our little finishing strips here, take off the backing. We will line that up with the crease that the two pieces create and put it right down into that. So that adjoins the two pieces. Okay, see? Now it's adjoined. So we're going to do the same thing on the sides so that we can adjoin the side with the top of the box. So let's take another finishing strip, take off the backing, and at this time you're going to put one side, half of the 1-inch strip, across the top here. Put it as close to the edge there as you can. That's about as close as I can get it without ripping, because this is super good tape. So let's go ahead and put it on the other side as well. Just right at the top. Be easier if I could get my head over what I'm doing, but I can't. Okay. Again, that's pretty close. And then we burnish the one side. Okay, now we're going to fold over the top part of the drawer that we're making. We're going to align these two sides here and fold this over onto the sticky piece. This is going to be really hard for me to show you guys. There, I think that works. So that's what it looks like after I get it together. And I kind of nudged it together here so that I could finish lining up the rest of the box. Now I'm going to take my hand in there, push it down, and use my bone folder to burnish that. So see, now we have one side together. Let's do the other side here. Let's just kind of bend this down, tuck it underneath there so we can get everything aligned. There we go. Square that all up as best you can. I don't know why I'm doing this the opposite way. I can't see. And I think it's already aligned itself. So there we go. And we do the same thing. Burnish. Need a longer bone folder. You could probably use a ruler. Put your hand down in there. And there we have it. This is our drawer. Now, if you wanted to make it a box, you would actually put another one of these small panels on the front here. You could use a hinge to attach it, however you want to do it. But we're going to make a drawer because we're going to put something in there, almost like a matchbox, but we have a back to this one. With our box being complete, I wanted to let you know that I did add additional finishing strips to the outsides where all the corners were. So any strip that I had left, I added it, even here on the edges of the small sides. And it actually just makes the drawer that much more stable. So I would highly recommend doing that as well. Since I showed you how to create this drawer using a paper template and tracing, I thought I would show you another way that you could do it. So the first thing I did was figure out the measurements that I wanted for the inside of the, so here's the external drawer, and what we need is the internal drawer. And so I took my 12 by 12 and cut that down. And I decided that I wanted the inside to be 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and the sides are 1 3/8 inch by 5 3/4. So I did that all the way around, just using my blade knife and my ruler, cutting these pieces out of chipboard. And this way, instead of scoring, you know, kind of cutting and scoring and folding it up as one piece, we have all individual pieces. Doing it this way will require the use of these finishing strips, and so I've already prepared those and have those ready. So the first thing you want to do is line up all of your pieces so that they are touching, and then we'll start to adhere our finishing strips. I'll start over here. So I'm lining up the score line with the cut line down here. Make sure these are, you know, close together, and then burnish. So this is what it will look like when you adhere that, and as you'll see, we can fold this up and then it is attached. So that's just one more way of doing this. So this finishing strip is a little bit longer than the wood, so I'm just, or the chipboard, so I'm just going to trim that back. And now we can move on with adding our next one. So make sure that's aligned. If you want, again, you can use a little piece of tape to keep it together. You can do either way. Hope I got a little bubble in that one, but it's okay. Hello, Kitty Rock. My kitty says hello. Okay. So let's keep going. For this one, I'm going to turn it to the side so I can see it better. Let's see, that goes there, yep. Okay. And there you have it. So you'll need 4 finishing strips for this part. And if you see, they all will come up and connect and make our little drawer. So what we'll do next then is add finishing strips to the back side and all of the seams here. So I'm going to start by adding a finishing strip to one of the joints. I'm going to put it on one side, kind of like what we did before, and then match up the other one to it. Hope you were able to see. We'll do one more. Put it on one side first, So you're lining up the score mark with the edge of this panel, pushing that down, then bringing the other panel up, matching them up, and then pulling this over. Okay, like that. And then just burnish them. And then I'll show you one of the long ones. Since we have a nice edge there, we'll go ahead and take one of our longer ones, kind of do the same thing. Line it up on one side. This one seems extremely long. And then fold it over to the other side. And then burnish. I can do one more of those in case that wasn't. So here we go. We take our adhesive backing off, line it up on one side, and then work it over to the other side, like that, and burnish. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish doing this for the rest of the drawer, and I'll be back. Okay, so I have all of my finishing strips on, and we are ready to move on to the next step. I picked out a little drawer pull that I'm going to use, and 2 brads to adhere that to the drawer. They have little pink stones in them. This drawer pull did come with screws, but I don't think this will work in this case, so that's why I'm just using brads. I've already gone ahead and marked where I need the holes to be, and I'm going to try and use this hole punch that I just got. This is 1/8 of an inch. This is a Fiskars. So I also went ahead and cut out all of the decorative paper that I'm going to need, and I'm going to punch the holes, put the decorative piece on here, mark the holes, and then take the piece off and punch it. I think that'll be the easiest way to do it than to put it on, try to align the holes, you know, and try it that way. So let's give this a shot. So I'm just lining up the holes with the punch. Boy, that's hard on my hand. There we go. Let's just see how that turned out pretty level. Okay, so I already have my piece that I'm going to put on the front, cut out, and has glue on it. I'm going to put this where I think I will adhere it down. Aha! Because I put my adhesive on already, my pencil won't work. So we'll have to try a marker. All right. Fabulous. So we'll go ahead and punch these out. And take off our adhesive backing. Okay, here we go. I basically lined up where the holes were and put it down. Okay. And let's give that a burnish. There we go. Okay, now we're going to put the drawer pull on there, put our brad in there, and open it up. I'm trying to do it as close. When you split those, make sure it's as close as you can to the chipboard. Okay, let's do the other one. So I'm pushing here and pushing up while I bend this over. That makes it have a really tight fit. There we go. So there's the drawer pull. That's so cute. To strengthen the brads that I added, I put some score tape on the back side of them. I burnished it really well so that it would even go down in between and all around it, just to give it more strength of staying in place. What I'm going to do now is just take off the backing and add the piece that I cut out to go there. And I'm going to burnish that in there real good as well. Okay, so I have my other pieces that I'm going to add to the sides here and to the base. I'm going to go ahead and decorate that, and I'll be back. Okay, so here we are. I have everything all decorated. I did add a little bit of ribbon to the sides of the drawer. And when you pull the drawer out, I added some on the inside here. It has a nice little sparkle to it, so I think that really adds a nice little touch. And then of course, I decorated the back sides as well. And on the drawer, I left the top not decorated, but I did all of the sides and the bottom. And this just slides right in there. Really cute. I'm happy with how that turned out. And now we need to take all of our other components and put all our Advent calendar together on top of our little drawer.